Yo, yo, yo. What up, y'all? It is none other than the Fandom Frequency, y'all, where we get into the entire multiverse of pop culture, man. Music, movies, TV shows, and anything in between. We talk about it around here. So make sure if you're into the world of pop culture itself, you click all the buttons below the video and show that support. We really do appreciate all the new support that's been coming in, all the engagement on some of our recent content as well. We appreciate and love all of you out there. And if you want to join a positive community to discuss everything in the world of fandom here on the YouTubes, on the podcast, on the internets, on the interwebs, no AIs, no judgment. We don't do politics around here, guys. We're just about having fun and talking about it, whether you love it, whether you hate it, whether you fall somewhere in between. That's what it's all about around here, guys. And we missed a week last week, you know what I'm saying? But it isn't like necessarily the world was screaming from the rooftops for it, but we wanted to make sure to round it off. We've been doing the review series for it. It's Secret Invasion, baby. It's the Secret Invasion finale, episode 6, miniseries, the latest show in Phase 5 of the MCU. As me and my boy Skips here were talking about off camera, we were discussing the current state of the MCU a little bit and how there is such a lack of hype for the show overall. And while I will say I do understand why, and I don't know necessarily if that's going to pick up over time in the same way Andor did for the Star Wars fandom, if you will, because it does seem like this one might have been a bit of a swing and a miss overall for the fandom community out there. But for me personally, I thought the finale was a little bit of a disappointment towards the end of it. I thought it started off fairly strong, but it kind of lost its way a little bit, seemed to kind of rush through some of the plot points, and it seemed to kind of go into the cliche, big bombastic kind of Marvel ending where I thought the show was doing a great job of kind of subverting that and kind of going away from that, getting more to that Winter Soldier vibe, more of the strong suits of the Falcon and Winter Soldier as well. Just getting to that human struggle, getting to some of that politic and intrigue, and getting into some of the more spy kind of stuff I thought was much more intriguing, much more engaging. You got a great performance from Don Cheadle as Colonel Rhodes. You know what I mean? I thought he was killing it the whole show, killed it in the finale. Bennett King Adir as Gravik absolutely murdered that scene with Samuel Jackson, or a guy pretending to be Samuel Jackson. You know what I mean? I thought he absolutely killed that scene. That was one of the best monologues in Marvel history. Michael B. Jordan was like, "God damn, dude." I thought he was like, "Damn, I thought Killmonger was on top, baby." But you might have a little competition just for that scene, you know, just in an acting format. I thought that was an amazing scene. So there's some really great moments, man, in this finale overall. I liked the emotional stuff with Fury and his squirrel wife over there. And while I do think there's some weird inconsistencies with her being existing this whole time, I think it's an interesting element that they added to his character as well. But do think it's a little contradictory to the overall universe.
Right,
But
yeah.
I get why they wrote it into the show, but it did feel a little forced. Doesn't necessarily gel as well with everything else. Didn't feel like they dropped any hints in Captain Marvel. Does feel a little out of left field. I do know in the MCU they've thrown things in there down the line when they didn't plan it out to begin with. There has been a level of improvisation in the MCU. Even the Russo brothers have said so. Everything wasn't planned to the T. So they were kind of developing things as they went along in the first 3 phases. So that is one thing we must keep in mind here. But it does feel like they threw that a little bit out of left field overall by the end of the show. But for me, man, it was just a decent finish, but it definitely was a little disappointing. I think you'd probably feel about the same.
Pretty much, yeah. Like everything that you mentioned, I do agree with you because it's been it's like with the whole Priscilla, the scroll, Nick
Mm-hmm.
Fury's wife. Like it does drive in the inconsistency throughout like the past like first 3 phases, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like a lot of people kind of go into confliction with Nick Fury himself. Like, okay, so like why? Like we get like Nick is supposed to be all the secretive and stuff like that, but where
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like this slight little, at least a little reference with Priscilla and stuff like that. But like you said, they kind of had to introduce it with the show because it's Secret Invasion. It is Nick's Fury show, so they kind of have to really expand on his like kind of like his personal life and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
there is some of that too. I do feel like how you talked about before already. Like it feels like the season finale was kind of just a meh finish for the show. It feels like it was very the pacing and compared to the first 5 episodes was completely different.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like everything was kind of like more of a
Go,
slow
go, go,
pace
go.
then yeah, it was like kind of a slow pace, kind of like introducing like this espionage kind of feel with each character, and then moving into the last episode, like they sped it up constantly. Like we got to get to like this point to this point to this point, just so we can wrap up this season finale and just call it there. And that's what I kind of really felt like. It kind of sucks, like it kind of was like that for this show, because
Mm-hmm.
it was a great way to like capture everyone's attention right off the bat with like how serious the scrolls issue was. But as time went on, like I would even say like Gravik as like the villain for myself, like he was interesting at first, and then it started going into like I kind of didn't really like where he became to this like character who would kind of has this like built up rage, like just spouting out like everything, like kind of going like all like chaotic, and compared to like how he was in the earlier episodes, like he was very calm, he was very calculating and stuff, to like having that quick switch. And he didn't really like of Gravik's character going from like the point A to point B like within like 2 episodes.
That's a very
And
fair point, man. I actually didn't think about that, but that is a very, very fair assessment, dude.
yeah, because it's just like it kind of like it does
Yeah,
like
I guess you're just such a good actor. It didn't really bother me, but I guess yeah, when you look at the writing, it does seem
yeah,
a little more heightened than it did at first. Kind of um
it
like
was
the
kind of
villain of
like
Guardians 3.
Guardians, yes, because like I would rather have him be like very like calm, menacing, like he's like already like ahead of the heroes of their game plan pretty much, and having them be having that quick switch because of something like that went wrong. I didn't like that. Like I didn't like that with the Guardians villain, and I didn't like that with Secret Invasion's villain with Gravik, because it was just that was the whole reason why I liked we all like I gravitated liking this villain a lot more, because he was always one step ahead of Fury, which we've always known before that Fury was always ahead of everybody, but he's been kind of losing his edge, which they had to show it. But I'm like, they could still do that in a rifle written manner throughout like the ending of the series. And that's why like I was like kind of on the fence with Gravik's whole I guess I guess personality overall, because it just didn't feel like it really like was consistent all the way through. And like the whole fight scene towards the end between him and Gaia, I felt like it was kind of forced. Like it was
I am
kind of like
100% with you, dude. And it
it
didn't even meet
was.
the potential of what that scene could be because of the powers and all that. They have like every person's powers from like think of the end game scene.
Mm-hmm.
They essentially got almost all that DNA is the way I looked at it. Like almost all those
Yeah,
people. And it's like that did not feel like two people with the abilities on that level fighting each other at all.
exactly. And it was such a. It felt like they threw it in there because they had to have like that big fight, because it's a
Hmm.
season finale. We need to have like a banger. We had to give out like, okay, so Gravik has a harvest, and now we know that Guy has a harvest too. We'll just have him fight at the end. Gaia ends up winning it. Doesn't really execute Gravik, which we know he has regeneration from all the powers that he had beforehand.
Hmm.
And she just left him there. I was like, what's the whole point of that? Like he's not for sure dead. Like I'm pretty sure they're gonna reuse Gravik's character as a Super Scroll later on, for more of like maybe mostly in the Marvels possibly or something like that. Like because he technically has Miss Marvel's powers, Carol
Yep.
Danvers' powers, and also with all the other Avengers, so he's for sure alive.
And
I don't
Gaia
think
seems to
it's
be getting recruited for something, so it does seem like they're setting up some plot points with her and Olivia Colman's character, maybe
yeah,
Thunderbolts type stuff. Who knows? There's a lot of interesting possibilities with that. But that was a very good assessment on that, man. I didn't really think about that with Gravik, but yeah, I mean that's a very fair assessment. I would definitely like to hear from y'all in the comments. Let us know what you thought about his overall characterization and the way that they portrayed that the character of Gravik throughout the series. Let us know if that stood out to you, or if you were a little bit more like me, where that didn't really stick out to you until you really thought about it after the fact. You know what I mean? We'd love to hear y'all's opinion on that. That was a freaking great point to bring up right there, man. I also felt like with the fight too, man. It just felt like the CG just didn't look good. Where
oh yeah,
most of the series, the CG actually looked good when they were using it. So it did feel like even that was a little rushed. And we do know kind of the state of where things are with all the strikes going on, and with overall VFX artists being very much overworked,
mm,
and very much having large workloads with not just this franchise of the Marvel Cinematic Universe at Disney, but plenty of franchises and studios all around the world and in the world of Hollywood itself. So I mean, there's always strenuous workloads. Over there in Japan with a lot of the animes going on, those
oh
guys,
yeah,
working on One Piece and Demon Slayer and some of these ones that are still ongoing week to week and have been going on for a long time, are just
yeah,
like these
yeah.
machines that they got to keep moving. You know what I'm saying? So other than those national holidays, they're not getting any breaks. So
Yeah.
we're kind of on a similar path right now with the MCU and the VFX. And like I said, for the majority of the series, the CG looked fantastic. I thought, but it just seemed like they dropped the ball in that last episode. Not a huge thing, just something that I think is worth pointing out. You know what I mean?
It's a
And
for sure
the
a
MCU, I
stumble.
feel like, has had a really good reputation with CG overall in the
Hmm.
franchise. So they've definitely had some weaker projects in that regard, I think, the whole time. But it does seem like TV series wise, they did have pretty good CG overall for most of the series. So it did feel like they dropped the ball in that regard a little bit
Hmm.
more so here in the finale. And with the overall character of Gaia as well, I wanted to highlight her, and I know I've done that throughout the series, kind of. And with her overall storyline with her father Talos, played by Ben Mendelsohn, I do feel like they kind of dropped the ball with that overall storyline as well. Just a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit. I feel like they didn't explore it enough in the back half of the season when his overall death came about. I felt like they didn't really get to it enough, and I felt it was fine that she wasn't there and she didn't get to say goodbye. I mean, that's I've experienced that, of course. But
Hmm.
I just thought they should have had a few more interactions before that had happened to really make it weigh on that and really make us more invested in Gaia and understand her perspective more. Because it seemed a little more bratty and a little more judgmental on her part, where she didn't have all the facts, wasn't there for everything. And I know some people, us young folks in our 20s, sometimes can get a little ahead of ourselves, but it just didn't feel like they really gave her character justice. And I just feel like Emilia Clarke, every time she does like these big franchise type things, it just feels like she never gets like a cool part to do, like excuse me, overall, where it's like, like freaking Mother of Dragons right there, man. She was so kick ass back then in Game of Thrones, man. I got Game of Thrones in the brain, just finished season 6. So yeah, look out for that review this weekend, guys. But getting back to that, but just seeing the level of talent that Emilia Clarke has, it just felt like this was really a great show to see her really get to deliver on that full on, where she had her moments, but I just felt like they just didn't really give her character enough to really make her shine and really end things in a very impactful way. Where I was just excited to see what happens in the future. Where
Hmm.
Yelena Belova, regardless of my opinion on the Black Widow film, I was excited to see where she's going. She's the most anticipated character for me in the Thunderbolts. And that
Hmm.
says a lot when you got characters like Bucky, I've been like very much a fan of since 2011. So
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
it's like that power of introducing the character wasn't quite there with Gaia. So very much a big disappointment there in that regard, at least for me. Gravik, still a very interesting character, like you mentioned. I would love to see him again in the future, just to get to see more with him. Just a great actor, doing his thing, getting ready to play Bob Marley next year. That review is going to be on the channel like right away. If those that don't know, Bob Marley, one of the hugest inspirations in my life. So and I feel like you're a fan too, right, Skip?
For which ones?
Bob
The
Marley.
Bob Marley, a little bit. Not like I'm not like a
Yeah,
huge
you're not
diehard
nowhere.
fan.
I know you're not like
Yeah.
hardcore into that like me or anything, but I was
Hmm.
like, everyone likes a little bit of Bob Marley. But just a quick tangent, we love our tangents around here, especially me. Um, I'm ADHD non-diagnosed. Nah, but what's it called? But yeah, man. I mean, is there any like other positives or negatives that you wanted to highlight for the show, man? Just the overall episode or just the overall season overall. The way I would kind of summarize it for me, good show. Stumbled at the end there. Didn't quite deliver what it kind of promised on, but had excellent acting, decent, solid show.
Hmm.
I'm gonna give my grade at the very end, but for me, it's like right around teetering on positive in the middle there. But
Right.
yeah, man. I mean, any final thoughts on the episode overall, man?
I would say like overall with the series, I did like the three characters, which was well pretty much two, which because I liked very much like I liked Talos and I liked
Yes,
Sonya
love that guy.
throughout pretty much the series. I feel like Sonya's a great like was a
That
great
was Olivia
character to
Colman.
see. Yeah, that was Olivia
Yes.
Colman's right there.
Oh yeah, I forgot to highlight her.
Yeah,
Stealing every scene.
she's like she did. I think for between like really those two characters really kind of like stood out for me throughout the series. Like Nick Fury, who was kind of like we obviously was in a rough patch, and it was kind of like it was kind of weird of where they wanted to place Nick Fury at in the mental state because he got blipped out. Like it's they put it at the point where he kind of experienced something that like a good like half of the people on the earth experienced of being blipped, and like he kind of went into that confliction. So it was kind of weird for Nick Fury. Rhodey, he was a scroll, so we kind of already had that going into I believe it was episode 2 when he was
Hmm.
already talking with Nick Fury, and I felt like Rhodey, it was his character was like he obviously different mannerisms than what we've seen in the past. So I thought I did enjoy still enjoying the um, I guess the work of Don throughout like Rhodey's like
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah. I thought he just nailed it.
he still did pretty cool, and it's gonna be interesting to where at what point did he get Rhodey get captured
Yeah,
at throughout
with
this time.
what was that? Armor Wars. We're supposed to be getting that movie potentially down the line, which
Yeah,
is actually getting more and more interesting to me. I actually think I'm like that's one I actually really hope they actually get off the ground because I'm like you actually could do something cool with that.
yeah, because like I feel like off of speculation,
Hmm.
because the way Rhodey got was moving, he was still kind of like his leg was still messed up,
Yep,
and
exactly.
compared to like how he was in like Infinity War and Endgame. So I feel like at sometime during like his recovery process, he got that's when he got captured. He kind of like made that shift. He was with the scroll was with them like with was with like the Avengers cast all throughout like Infinity War, Endgame and stuff like that. And I feel like it's in Armor Wars. Rhodey's gonna be coming to dealing with a lot of the repercussions of that, because I feel like with the scroll they kind of give out like the okay with Iron Man's pretty much suits like design suits for military use, and I
Hmm.
feel like he's gonna have to try to revert a lot of that what the
Yeah,
scroll
man.
did to the damage wise when he was gone, and really trying to keep Tony Stark's legacy with all of his armored design suits into a very tight grip instead of having the government be in control of it. So it's obviously
Hmm.
going to have that big setup.
The whole reason why Iron Man was born in the beginning. So that's why
Yeah.
Armor Wars to me when they announced that, and I looked up the storyline and what it was about because I hadn't read it. Still
Hmm.
haven't read it to this day, but that to me is why I was like, you know what? That's one where there could be some really cool stuff with that, jumping off the Iron Man legacy, but still doing something relevant to what's going on in the MCU post Blip. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
definitely seems like they actually set that up pretty well. So it's a good
With
thing
this
to
show,
highlight,
yeah.
man. I would say
Yeah.
for sure.
I would say that's a huge plus. And then I think another surprise too was seeing what was his name? Hold on, I want to double check. I want this because I don't want to be like completely butcher the name and stuff like that. Uh,
Oh, Martin Freeman's character.
Martin Freeman. I was gonna say some another name.
Let me
It was
see. Everett
Everett
Ross, yeah.
Ross. Everett Ross. So it was confirmed like he got captured. So it depends on like where he was at this point in time. Like was he actually there in Black Panther 2, or
Oh
was that
man,
a
that's a lot of
scroll?
interesting stuff. That's
Be-
true.
yeah. So it really brings up to like the scrolls being like like officially being introduced. Like how long have they been around, and like for certain characters, how long have they been scrolls for the time period?
Right.
So it's a like I think I like kind of like that aspect too, but I think as an overall series, I wish they kind of went towards a certain like different direction. Like if they were like we're gonna have like a 6 episode plot point, I think an espionage isn't a way to do it. I think they could have picked up the space like the pacing a little bit more, because with at least with like with Andor, because that one is like another espionage kind of like for kind of
It was like double the
TV
length. It
series.
was 12
Yeah, it was like
episodes, I believe.
yeah, and like they had it like 3 episode arcs
Mm-hmm.
throughout the series, and I
Mm-hmm.
think with Secret Invasion, like they were trying to go about it that way with like obviously with the schools being like the way they are, but they were only limited with 6 episodes, and it didn't really pay off like with what they were trying to tell with the whole dire situation with the scrolls and how they can like really do a lot of harm. Like we got like the whole like oh Russian versus like USA pretty
Yeah, World
much,
War Three.
World War III and all that stuff. But like there's like that gravity, but it kind of fell off like pretty much towards the end with how Gravik was losing his cool and not really being that guidance that he was once like
In the
introduced in
really
the
the first
beginning.
half, I would say.
Yeah, he was like obviously like it would have been better like if they kind of like made him like still that composing character all throughout, and then I kind of have it go to a different direction instead of what we got in the season finale. So I would give this like, if I was gonna rank this show, it'll be like a solid 7. Like that's how it's been with me throughout all 6 episodes. It's been like 7. That I don't. It was like pretty average, pretty mid. It's like nothing too crazy or anything like that.
I was slightly more positive than you, man. During the first initial like four, I would even say like the fifth episode to me started to stumble slightly there.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little teensy bit, but I would say like the last couple episodes didn't quite deliver for me in the same way. So it kind of dropped down to a 7 for me as well, man. I was flirting with an 8 for a while with those first 3 to 4 episodes, but the
Mm.
last two just rushed, like you said, man. They just didn't have enough time to really let those seasons marinate. they put it in the oven for too long, too quick, and it just got burnt, man. It just didn't quite come out the way they were anticipating, man.
I think
The bear is disappointed in you. No,
the Bears.
but
The
yeah,
Bear,
chef.
that's a great show. That's a great
Oh
show.
man. Quick tangent
Yo.
before we wrap this up and call it a day here.
Hmm.
The guy that plays Cousin Richie, Iban Mas Rock, is
Yeah.
rumored, and the rumors have been persisting out there, that I don't think this is necessarily going on right now, like he's going to sign on for anything because of the strike, but I do think they were talking to him and negotiating beforehand, if this rumor is indeed true, that he might be playing Ben Grimm, the Thing. Are you up for that casting? Do you think that's perfect? Because I sure in the hell do.
I would say he seems pretty cool as a Thing, because like the Thing, it's pretty much just trying to like. I could kind of see being a Thing,
He's
because
an angry East Coaster, man. That's Ben Grimm right there.
that's Ben Grimm, and it's also too like he can, if he does do that, he'll have like two roles maybe if they go along with like the Punisher, like the continuity with the Punisher being part of the MCU.
Yeah, with him
'Cause he
being
was playing
Micro.
as Macro, yeah. So I wouldn't be
Oh, true
opposed
point.
to it.
That could be a little bit of a deterrent, depending on what they're doing with that, because we know John Bernthal's coming back. So, very, very good point, man. You're
Yeah,
on it today,
yeah.
dog. You're on it today.
So I
See, this is
think
why I do the show with this guy. This is why I do the show with this guy.
but I would still love his acting. Like I think he's pretty good. He's still like pretty
Guy's
solid
killing it,
all.
man.
He's
Andor.
been popping up. Yeah, especially in Andor.
And the bear, the amount
Bear.
of range that this guy has.
Punisher.
I'm like,
all
yo,
that stuff.
this is the guy. This is the best Fantastic Four casting rumor that has been out there the entire fucking time, other than Zac Efron or Glenn Powell playing Johnny Storm. Other than those two, I'm like, that shit is perfect. Get this guy signed on immediately when his goddamn strike is over with and Hollywood gets their head out of their ass. But yeah, man. I mean, solid show. Not amazing. But I mean, we want to hear from y'all out there. And we know the hype is not really huge out there for the show, but let us know. We want to get into some discussions with y'all about the MCU out there, man. And we're going to be doing some more MCU content, obviously, in between now and the Marvels. And we got Loki Season 2 coming out October. We got Echo coming out on your boy's birthday right here, November 29th, for those that don't know. But I'm not going to age myself until Dirty 30 comes around within the next few years. So you'll know when you know. But what's it called? But yeah, man. So that's pretty much it for me and my man Skips right here. Game of Thrones season 6 review this weekend. I got some really fun new content ideas I'm gonna be trying out here on the channel over the next few weeks. We're still gonna be doing the main stuff. We're gonna have that horror for you. We're gonna have some of the new releases, like we got Ninja Turtles coming out. There's a couple movies I didn't get to see initially that I'm still gonna catch up on and get some reviews out as soon as I can. My main man Skips right here hasn't seen Oppenheimer yet. I did see it. You're gonna see a review from us once we've both seen it.
Oh yeah.
So a little late, but fuck it. I just definitely want to talk about it with my guy here. It's Chris Nolan. We gotta get some Chris Nolan flavor on the channel. That's for sure. But yeah, man. So we're gonna have a lot of content coming at y'all. So make sure you stay tuned and don't sleep on any of the goodness we got coming at y'all. It's been a little bit slower here, but we're about to pick up the pace and get back into high gear to end the summer strong and continue the Fandom Frequency movement, man. Just keep it going, keep it moving, keep it pushing. Anything else you want to highlight before we wrap it up, man?
No, not really, dude. I want to see Oppenheimer in 70mm, dude.
I know, bro. Let me know when you see it. I want to know how that experience is as well. I just saw it in the regular theater. I was just trying to make sure I saw that thing right away when I had a chance. It's a long movie. I don't have a lot of free time sometimes these days, so I was like, I'm getting in there as soon as I know I can. And it was damn good, I will say. I'm not going to get into any more thoughts because I want to leave it for the review, but I'm very positive on it.
Oh man, I can't wait to see it. Right now, I'm like looking at the films. It's been like doing pretty well for the for that show and the filming of the 7mm, because like it's just, I don't know. A lot of people are giving a lot of good appraisals for it.
Hell
so I can't wait.
Yeah, we're going to be getting into it, man. So like we said, man, we got a lot of cool stuff coming right around the corner, y'all. Make sure you check it out. Don't be sleeping on any of that. And until next time, much love. Thanks for watching / listening to the show. We're going to be updating the podcast feed this weekend, so all of the latest episodes are going to be coming up hot and furious on that. And we got a lot of cool stuff coming down over the next couple weeks leading into August as well. So you're going to be getting a lot of action here on the channel and the podcast feed. So don't miss out, guys. Love you. See you again on the flip side. Peace out.